This is problem number 7 on the practice problems for quest number 2. The amount billed to a residential customer by a natural gas utility company depends on the number of CCF, hundreds of cubic feet of gas used that month. A customer who used 10 CCF of gas was billed $32, while a customer who used 15 CCF of gas was billed $40. A. Express the amount billed B in terms of the CCF of gas used G, assuming that they are related by a linear equation. Okay, so there's a lot of work to do here. First is to try to translate all the information into, in the problem here, into ordered pairs. Something, comma, something. And we know normally it's x, comma, y, but unfortunately it's different letters. This is an unfamiliar context that we find ourselves in. So what clue do we have that lets us know which number goes first? Is it the number of CCF of gas that goes first? Or is it the amount of money that's billed that goes first? And the only clue that we have here is in the part A. It says express the amount billed in terms of the CCF of gas used. So that in terms of reminds me of a phrase that I guess I just have memorized. Y in terms of X. Those are just this, that's the standard order for most problems that we see with X and Y in them. Y in terms of X. So I guess what that means is that they are saying that B in terms of CCF is really like Y in terms of X. So that must mean that the X number is the CCF of gas used. So we can put CCF, or if you prefer, I guess we can call it the letter they're talking about as G. And that means that the Y number must be the B. So the Y is the B, and if I want to put units in there, what are the units for B? B is the amount of money that we're billed, so dollars. So I really think that part that's underlined in red is the only clue that we give you in this problem that tells you which one goes first. Is it the gas or is it the bill? In this case, it's the gas first. So now that we've got that straightened out, I think it'll be pretty straightforward to translate the problem, the numbers in the problem into ordered pairs, bring us into some familiar context. So we're putting gas first, bill second. So the first thing that I see, 10 CCF of gas, $32. Which one goes first? Is the gas. 10 CCF, $32. Then we'll go ahead and grab the other point. The other point is 15 CCF of gas, $40. So again, put the gas first and the amount billed second. Okay, now that I've got my 2 points, I can kind of ignore all the context in this problem and just go back to basics. We're trying to find the equation of a line. Certainly we need a slope, change in y over change in x. If you want to rewrite it in terms of letters in this problem, what would they be? Well, we've already decided that y is like the b and x is like the g. So it's really a change in b over change in g. So we're going to subtract. Let's see. So we subtract here. 32 minus 40, 10 minus 15. Just do it in the same order on top and bottom. It's perfectly okay to reverse the order on top as long as you reverse it on the bottom as well. So upstairs we get -8. Downstairs is -5. 8/5. It's fine there. And that's the slope. And then the other thing that we need is first an equation of the line. So y equals mx plus b is our normal equation. I'm going to go ahead and change the letters in this case. So we didn't have y, we had b. So this is capital B equals m we just found was 8/5. X, we don't have x, we have g. Plus, and it's a little bit unfortunate that the b in this problem, well, there's 2 of them. So make sure you're clear. The capital B is the amount billed. Lowercase b is the same it's always been for us. That's the y-intercept or the vertical intercept. So how do we find it? Well, we'll just pick either of our points and plug them into that green equation. For example, if I pick 10 and 32 and stick those numbers into this equation. So the b is the $32 that was billed. 8/5 times 10, that's the g, plus the unknown y-intercept. So almost done. 32 equals The 10 and the 5 actually cancel and give you a 2 left up there. So 8 times 2 is 16, plus B. Subtract the 16 from both sides. 32 subtract 16 is also 16. So finally, with the y-intercept, we're ready to copy this equation one last time. B equals 8/5 of G plus 16. So that's the answer to part A. Part B, use your equation from A to determine how many CCF of gas were used by a customer who was billed $60. So clearly we're going to plug that $60 into that equation that's right up above here. We just have to decide what letter it is. Well, it's the amount billed, so the 60 must be the B. How many CCF of gas were used? G must be the unknown. So let's plug in. So again, that circled equation up at the top, it said B equals, B is now 60. Everything else gets copied. All right, and now we're going to solve this equation. I'll subtract 16 from both sides. So that gives me 44 equals 8/5 of G. We're going to clear the fraction by multiplying both sides by 5. So 5 times 44 is 220. 5 cancels on the right and gives me just 8G. And then finally divide by 8. And when we divide by 8, we'll just do it on the calculator here. So 220 divided by 8, 27.5. 27.5 what? Well, what was G measured in? I can go right back up here. G was measured in CCF. So that's 27.5 CCF, hundreds of cubic feet of gas. Part C, what is the slope of your equation from part A? What does the slope represent in this situation? Okay, so let's go back up. Again, circled here in the top right, we've got our equation. So the slope is the number touching, well, what's normally the x, and that's 8/5. So 8/5 must be the slope. So let's go ahead and start writing that. So what is the slope? The slope was 8/5. And what does the slope represent? Well, it's hard to know just by looking at the 8/5 as a number. So let's get some units in here. Where did the 8 come from? It was up here in purple. 8 came from subtracting 32 and 40. Came from subtracting two B values, and B was measured in dollars. So this was $32, subtract $40 was -$8. So upstairs, that 8, or -8, is a number of dollars. So I'm going to start putting the units over here. Dollars per. And then where'd the 5 come from? So the 5, right there, came from subtracting 10 and 15. Those are both G values. G is measured in CCF. So that was number of CCF. So downstairs is number of CCF. So this must be dollars per CCF. $8 per 5 CCF. Maybe it's better if we make this a unit fraction or a decimal. So if we actually take 8/5 and do the division, we get 1.6 or 1.60. And now I'm going to put my units in. And I think as soon as we're here, dollars per CCF, hopefully the sentence just about pops out. $1.60 for every CCF of gas. It costs $1.60 for every 1 CCF of gas used. I'll give you another sentence. I think this other one is a little bit more awkward, or maybe not as helpful, but still okay. If we just go to the 8/5 version of slope, this one, it costs $8 for every 5 CCF of gas used. It's completely correct. but oftentimes it's a lot better to have a unit number. I don't want to know how much it costs for 5 CCF. I want to know how much it costs for 1 CCF. Part D, what is the b-intercept, the vertical intercept of your equation from A? What does the b-intercept represent in this situation? Okay, the b-intercept, again, looking at this circled equation here up in red, the b-intercept was the y-intercept, the vertical one is 16. So let's write down here that the b-intercept is either 16 or, let's see, so if you're at the vertical intercept, which one is 0? It's the x, it's the first one, 0 is 16. But I like writing the point because 0, the whole time for us, that first number has stood for number of CCF of gas used. 16 has been the amount of money that it cost. So I think that the sentence is just about there as soon as we have the units in. If a customer uses 0 CCF of gas, they are charged or billed $16. And maybe a little bit less awkward than that, there is a flat fee of $16 charged to every customer. Regardless of how much gas you use, you're going to pay $16 plus $1.60 per CCF.